It's time to get cut content for not the most recent episode, but episode 8. Don't worry, episode 9 will be coming out very soon on YouTube for you guys. Let's get it.
We are on a one-stop train to Jeju Island, and there is
Oh, what's going on, FlexiJ Anime? I wanted to say something after the raid, but I had to follow and then wait 10 minutes. And you know, so I couldn't say anything. But y'all are watching Naruto. Love to see it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming back and spreading the love and support. You're killing it. You're absolutely killing it. All right, soul leveling cut content. Let's get it.
We are on a one-stop train to Jeju Island, and there is absolutely nothing stopping it. Along with it comes the biggest change solo leveling will make, since the plan Japan has with South Korea differs massively depending on whether you're reading the novel, manhwa, or anime.
Oh, this is gonna get spicy, man. I cannot wait for the drama to happen between Japan and Korea. We're not talking about like global, politics. We're not talking about like diplomacy and stuff. We're talking about anime land. And because solo leveling exists in the context of the real world, and Japan does exist, and it's looking like Japan's gonna crash out based on, again, we're metagaming right now, right? The anime is gonna have a separate version where Japan is no longer called Japan in Japan. Why would they do that? If Japan was portrayed in such a great positive way, don't you think that they would never do that? So, oh boy, it's gonna get spicy.
I'm talking about an insane shift in narrative that borders on geopolitical warfare. That, however, is only half of the episode, since the other half covers Sung's tower climb to the Demon King.
Alright.
It's a more extensive challenge that focuses on Sung's shadows, his ever-increasing power, and the system. Both are equally important, so I'm actually going to split them up into 2 videos.
Oh,
this
juicy.
will focus only on the tower dungeon, while the next will cover all the Jeju stuff.
You'll love to see it.
It's a video I promise you don't want to miss out on.
Multi-farming.
Before we get started though,
Hashtag ad. Hello, Stinky Cheese. Are we getting a mobile gacha game? What is going on? What's the ad today?
a lot of people have been asking when the new solo leveling drops were coming out, so I'm happy to announce right now.
Oh, merch.
This is our newest collection, and it
Okay.
features the returning favorite strongest tea,
Crafted for the strongest. Evidence of your resistance. Ooh. You know what? I like these minimalistic designs. I don't like anime merch when it's just so loud and out there, Like, I don't want to be branded like, hey, I'm a weeb in the public, I like the little bit more minimalistic. So like the sword designs, whether it be for Igris or for Iron, right? They even have the English and Ion, they got the Korean letters there as well. 3 packs. Y'all get it. $30 per t-shirt. Here's the merch, man. Here's the merch. I would honestly, that hoodie looks nice. Like a big, comfy, baggy gray hoodie for the gym. I might get that.
countries will cost a bit extra. I just wanted to make that clear so none of you were caught off guard by it.
The Iron Shield does look
But
good.
anyway, episode 20, Looking Up Was Tiring Me Out, covering chapters 82 to 87 from the manhwa and chapters 101 to 107 from the web novel. To start from Sung's encounter with Essel, her initial squad was 3 demon knights and her a demon noble. Based on Sung's own assumption of how demon power scaling worked, the knights were about the same level of an A rank, while Essel and the other demon nobles were easily in the S ranks.
S rank?
He
What?
could tell by the way that she fought against.
Are we all underestimating Essel? I mean, we kind of just reduced her to waifu because she's really cute. And there's a lot of cute slice of life moments, but she's as strong as an S rank? Really? Okay.
Him. Her technique of rapidly targeting all his vital points clearly indicated she was very well trained.
I need to see Essel versus Chaeyeon. I need to see the waifu wars happen.
In fact, if not for Sung being her opponent, Sung knew she could easily handle 3 to 4 A ranks at once. It was just unlucky that she had to be facing him. It was when she surrendered shortly after this that Sung would feel extremely put off by such absurd behavior. It's not like intelligent monsters were rare, but to see her prostrate herself was a level above rare.
And
There was
backstab.
something about Essel that just seemed strange to him. Aside from the bears expressing their disdain towards her though, Sung figured this would be a good opportunity to initiate conversation. It was before those questions we saw in the anime though that Essel would first give her a reason for fighting against him. You see, as a guardian of this floor and all its inhabitants, she couldn't let some random person keep hunting her fellow demons indiscriminately. If you looked at it from the perspective of her, Sung was literally barging into her home
True.
and massacring all her people.
True.
He had essentially flipped roles with the monsters from his own world.
Bro is
So,
the monster.
since he was the equivalent of a magic beast to them, Sung bore no grudge against Essel for fighting against him. He fully understood where it was she was coming from.
Even he was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm kind of fucked up. I mean, we didn't see the demons as like real people, right? We're just viewing them as like EXP. It's a quest. The system told me to do it. I'm farming you guys, but they're real people, guys.
He just didn't care. Even now, Essel was nothing more than a source of information, so as soon as her value dropped below what Sung was expecting, Sung fully planned on killing her.
Damn. And you know what? I believe him. Because the way that Essel was dealt with at the most recent episode, dude, she was like inviting us for dinner. Yo, come meet Pops. Everything's gonna be fine. We should have a feast. And bro's like not even listening. He's looking at his phone. He's scrolling TikTok. He does not care. And then he left. And he's like, see you next time. It's like, I don't think we're gonna see her again. It'd be nice if we do see her again, but damn, she got done dirty.
He was extremely curious to see how much XP he would get. This differs from how it was in the manhwa, since Essel's likeness to a human made him uncomfortable with killing her. In the novel, Sung was all business.
It's like Uncanny Valley. It's like the more humanistic something becomes, the less he's, inclined to just kill it immediately.
Though, so Essel's survival depended solely on whether she could provide something more valuable than XP and whatever loot she would drop. It was value which Sung believed could only be provided via the entry permit.
Yeah, the entry permit upstairs.
Sung would be the one to ask if she had it, leading to a blank stare that made it seem like she didn't. Sung would then waste no time summoning his daggers, since to him negotiations were now over.
Chill!
He would briefly ponder the peculiarity of an intelligent monster using their intelligence to beg for their life, then immediately switch thoughts to the unknown amount of XP he was about to get. I mean, she was the first demon noble he'd come across after all.
That's crazy how much he's obsessing about the EXP. He does not see her at all like, like a living thing. He's just like, kinda wanna do it. What if I level up, bro? Kinda wanna do it. Don't let me crash out!
So, as far as Sung knew, killing Essel might even be what grants him the entry permit. It was right as he was about to attack, though, that's when Essel would say that she'd give it to him. Her explanation of where
Papa
it was
has it.
validated why he wasn't able to find it, so believing what she was saying was easy. Whether he could trust her was a different story, but so long as she followed her end of the deal, Sung would proceed to keep his. It was a belief stemming from a pledge he made back when he first received the power of the system.
Man, the haircut is not it. This haircut, man, the more I look at it, bro, this is not it, man. Oh my god, like, you caught us lacking. This hairstyle, it's the long sides. The overly long sides, like straight up, if he didn't even have this different, like all he has to do is have the same hairstyle. And I bet he wouldn't look bad, right? His bone structures and the sharp chin hasn't developed just yet in the old style, but like, it's that hair. That hair is the biggest nerf to him back in the day.
Give and take. Even if Essel was a monster, Sung would abide by that pledge regardless. He did still consider it a waste to give up the XP of her and her clan, but the trade-off was the massive amount of time he'd save. He knew he'd spent way too much time on the 80th floor already. Plus, even if Essel did try to betray him, it's not like Sung would be upset about it. If anything, he'd probably be happy since he'd get both the XP and the permit. Now,
he's like, come on, do it. Give me an excuse to kill you so I can figure out how much EXP I can get from you.
Sung's first question was to compare the current situation with the monsters of regular dungeons, revealing the different nature between them. With magic beasts aiming to kill humans and these monsters wanting to protect the dungeon, that further reinforced the idea that he was the magic beast to them. It was a momentary thought of role reversal that Sung didn't really dwell on. Sung's next question would trigger the system's intervention, but the way it happened in the novel wasn't quite the same as how it happened here.
Right, threshold reached.
I could just be looking into it too much, but I feel this difference is at least worth mentioning. So, where in the anime and manhwa the system directly blocks Essel from speaking, in the novel it's actually the opposite. Essel continues speaking like nothing is wrong, while all Sung can hear is the monotone voice telling him his conversation was being blocked.
Oh, it's like a different type of censoring. I guess the way that the anime approached it made more sense. The source material sounds funny because it sounds like Essel's just still yapping, but it's just inaudible to us.
It was a message that would last until Essel's explanation was over.
Should tell her to write it down. Okay, so I can't hear what she's saying. Write it down. So that you can't censor the written portion, right? I'm sure there's a way to get around that.
So, while the outcome was the same with regards to Sung not getting the information he wanted, the system's way of deafening him implies a level of control over him we may not have expected. Now, the system blocking Essel was actually a mistake on its part because had it not interfered with Sung at all, then Sung felt he wouldn't have suspected anything. He would have assumed Essel's explanation to be nothing more than a system-made backstory, since with every aspect of these instance dungeons always being so game-like, it wasn't far-fetched to consider Essel's story another one of those elements. To him, it would have just been a simple bit of backstory for an NPC. It was the moment the system intervened, though, that's when Sung knew for certain she had answers. Whatever enemy she was referring to clearly held relation to whatever was going on with him.
It's that same one again, right? They were in the demon realm. They were trying to unite everybody for a big war against one thing, this entity. And then they got transported here. My theory still is, I don't really know. I just still think that this thing has something to do with the Shadow Monarch.
The system had acted way too sensitively for that not to be the case. Either way, with the system exhibiting influence over Earth, these monsters, and even him, it was clear it had some sort of transcendental powers. Something Sung knew he needed to be wary of. Essel passing out couldn't be fixed by any of Sung's potions, so the wait for her had actually led to numerous battles. As it turns out, demons without intelligence often considered demons with intelligence as enemies. So, with Essel out in the open as easy prey, many demons had tried to attack her.
What? You're smarter than me, therefore you're my enemy. Yo, they're monkeys, man.
There was a whole pile of them right next to her when she woke up. Now, this next part is actually kind of a side thing, but it was common throughout all three mediums that Sung wouldn't know what personal space was. There would be times where he'd put his hands on her, and every time Sung would sense an increased heart rate.
This is, like, basically Jinwoo's autistic. He on that spectrum. Maybe not that. He's socially unaware, because he's just like a loser until now. Like, the most unpopular, no riz, no charisma, weakest hunter ever. That was him. Until recently. There is a big gap of awareness that is missing. So everything he does, closing in, right? The body language, it's unintentional riz.
Because it was for nothing more than standing her up or guiding her forward, Sung would assume it was because she was scared.
In front of her
dad? The manga
dad?
and anime show it for what it really is. It's when we get to the Radaru Castle that Essel would have committed the equivalent of the Trojan horse for the demon realm. It was after her dad's justified reaction to it that he would quickly piece together this was the person who killed Vulcan and Metis.
Yeah, the bosses?
As trusted allies he was rather fond of, he was reminded of how sad he was when the news of their defeat first got to him. It's from this that Essel's dad knew he shouldn't fight, since to do so would require being ready to sacrifice everyone.
Dad knows.
Keep in mind, that wasn't due to the fact these demon nobles were weak. I mean, each was the equivalent of an S rank.
Okay, really?
It's just that Sung was way stronger now. Plus, with the Radaru clan being the weakest out of all of them, it was much easier to just believe Sung's words and avoid a fight altogether.
Plus, we just clutched for them, right? Like, we got rid of all the different dudes above. Now the weakest clan is pretty much the only clan, and you can now rule over this place.
That's when the dad would ask what else Sung wanted, fully expecting to hear something unreasonable. Reason being that after years of dealing with the demands of those who were stronger, not once were they ever fair. They were always made to insult both him and his people. So, to know this situation was likely the same, Essel's dad could only wait in frustration. It was when Sung asked,
Damn, the dad's just a bitch, huh? The dad just no aura, no power, no nothing, weakest clan. Your daughter is now just being taken in front of you and the dad can't do anything. This is yikes.
For Essel herself that all the knights would gasp in astonishment. To see such peculiar reactions from those he considered monsters, well, that served to validate Essel's story from before. He started to think perhaps there was some truth to what she said after all. It was once the whole guide thing was cleared up that's when Essel's dad would contemplate what all this really meant. Like, to him, Sung was essentially a calamity, and this calamity had just walked straight through their front door.
Hey, interesting word of calamity there. Because that's what Daddy Song Il-hwan also mentioned, I think, to Hwang Dong-soo, but the calamity that's, coming. The final end boss of solo leveling.
He would think back to the day he first arrived here and remember how he knew the order they'd constantly been hearing was preparing them for something. They didn't know what it was, but just like how one would eat when they're hungry or sleep when they're tired, it was an impulse they felt the need to carry out instinctively. So when the news of an invasion reached him all the way up here, immediately he knew this was what they needed to protect their land from. A subjugation force would eventually be sent out to deal with it, only to reveal these invading soldiers weren't as powerful as he thought. There were groups of soldiers harder than the others, but
that's not our
those
best
just
warriors.
required a bit of preparation. Sure, victory wasn't guaranteed against any of them, but none of them seemed outright impossible. That is, until they saw Sung. Still, negotiations with the human did hurt his pride, but that was far better than the alternative. And
everyone dying.
Yes, the entry permit was something Essel's dad was supposed to protect, but the cost of doing so was just too high. He knew Sung was far too powerful to even consider fighting. It was even with all his shadows being clearly visible to him that Essel's dad could tell this wasn't even all Sung was capable of.
I'd say that the dad is pretty impressive here. Rather than being like an unaware person who got ahead of himself and immediately got killed like so many other people in the past. He just like, yup, this guy is him. He's the main character. We cannot fight him. Let's just work around it.
Though he didn't know why, Sung was clearly hiding his true power. So, as unbelievable as it was for Sung to request only Essel and the permit, if it meant saving everyone, this really was no price at all. Plus, with this protecting the sanctity of the floor he was responsible for, technically he wasn't going against the order of the unknown voice either. The only risk he carried was with Essel. So, it was once Sung confirmed she'd be fine that the permit would be handed over and everyone happy. For Sung, this was a bit more of a surprise since this would be the first time he'd acquired a key item through dialogue.
Yeah, this is diplomacy.
The stamp at the bottom indicated it was the property of the Radical
We don't have to
clan,
fight.
That hinted the other permits were likely in possession of all the other clans. This made the climbing process a lot more streamlined since rather than farm monsters aimlessly and endlessly, now Sung knew exactly where to go.
Just the clan
it
leaders.
was much better than waiting forever for a loot item to drop randomly and without notice. It's then that Sung would want to leave immediately, but Essel's dad would insist he stay for a feast. Sung really wanted to keep going, but
Oh, so in the source material they actually had something like that. But in the anime, the feast got mentioned at the end of the battle and Jin was like, yeah, I'm good, bye. And then left his shadow in place. Use shadow exchange.
when he saw Essel's face and how it seemed like she wanted to stay, he decided to oblige since it was the courteous thing to do.
Okay.
He had also grown pretty sick of the stale bread and jerky the shop provided him.
He's been polite.
It was after all that Sung would make his way to the teleportation elevator, where Essel accompanying him would reveal the existence of a party system. Not only did this allow members to travel to the next floor with him, but it also shared his XP at a rate dependent on their level of contribution.
Sounds like a fucking waste. I don't want to share EXP with Essel.
Naturally, this made Sung more than a little bit worried, since to lose out on XP was quite literally the worst thing imaginable
She better go out and fucking do her own work so I can leech EXP there too.
for him. That being the case, he made it crystal clear that under no circumstance should
Would she get EXP? Hold up. If this party system, the shared EXP, that's already implying that Essel's on a level system. Only Jinmu is in a level system that we are aware of. Everyone else is just static. Plot hole? Instance dungeon demons are different? Okay.
Essel ever intervene. Essel of course took this as Sung looking out for her, but really it was him ensuring all the XP was his. Now, we know
Again, just no riz. Just, wow, he cares about me. Nope, I just want the EXP.
Essel's bag was intended to be gifts for negotiation, but Sung felt one exception was enough. Even though the other clans were civilized like hers, Sung had no intention of sparing any of them. So there would be a fairly descriptive scene of Sung going on a massacre, and when you consider how these demons were only protecting the place they called home, it's kinda messed up that Sung wouldn't even give them a chance to give up. Like, before they had even known
the bad
they were
guys.
being attacked, Sung had already used Tusk to set their castle aflame. Their walls were
Bruh.
literally melting, while any soldiers who ran outside were cut down instantly.
This probably would go down in demon history as like the night of the obliteration. Multiple clans just wiped out in a single night. Jinwoo's just casually doing it. I mean, hey, we gotta save our mama, but like, to them, like, these are some crazy things happening overnight.
So, for Essel, this would be an absolute nightmare. She couldn't help but think now of how lucky she was. For Sung, this was simply the extent of the relation between humans and demons, because if the positions were flipped, they would do the same.
This is some free rent shit. We shouldn't we shouldn't feel any sort of sorrow towards the demons. Nope, just kill them all.
It was the simple truth that the strong always devoured the weak. So, if Sung knew that they wouldn't spare him, then why was it that he should bother to do the same?
It makes sense to me.
This was the logic Sung decided to proceed with.
Okay.
This brings us now to a funny scene with Iron, since after clearing out another camp of demons, he had rushed over to Sung, eagerly awaiting his praise.
Oh?
Sung would then ask if he was sure he was finished, to which Iron would nod confidently. The thing is, there was a demon right next to him stealthed with invisibility.
Oh,
Sung
slice
could
of life
tell it
moments.
was waiting to mount a sneak attack, but decided not to do anything to see if Iron would notice.
It's like a little
Since
test.
he didn't, Sung would take care of it himself, proceed to question Iron like a child, then Iron would lower his head out of embarrassment.
Aww. I love the Iron moments. We had a bit of it last episode too. He's just so eager to appease his master, and the slice of life moments that comes with it is amazing.
Igris, on the other hand, would return looking a little different because his level was maxed, indicating he was ready for an advancement.
Promotion
He
time.
would then kneel in front of Sung, holding a sense of nervous determination, all while Sung would look at him proudly. As the first in his army to achieve such a feat, Sung believed it was well-deserved since Igris was always the one who fought the hardest.
Cool.
Sung would then establish the command enabling this advancement, speak the word triggering its commencement, then witness Igris evolve like he was a Pokemon.
What's the spoken word? Evolve. He's not gonna say arise again, right? Promote. What is he saying?
It was a moment that was a lot more epic in the manhwa. A scene visually similar to when Sung first became the
It's just permitted? Permitted. I thought that's just what AniNews was just saying right there.
Shadow Monarch. What emerged was a shadow with far more aura than ever before, so to see what it was his soldiers could become, Sung was now eager to do this with the rest of them.
Cool.
Tank would stroll in seeking his advancement next, revealing something rather peculiar about it. The levels required for it differed depending on the rank the shadow was. Since Tank has definitely killed less demons than Igris, for both to rank up together indicated Tank's level requirement was lower. It made sense considering that that was just another standard video game element.
Okay, different scaling.
Sung would then wonder if he could ascend himself, but that was an idea he knew was probably just wishful thinking.
You never
In
know.
any case, this evolution
You never
brought
know.
with it some pretty cool new designs for both Igris and Tank. For Iron, who had to watch all this go on, he was pretty sad since he was feeling left out.
Poor Iron, and he's the one that desperately wants, Master is praised the most.
All he wanted was praise, but Igris and Tank stole all of it.
Ooh.
Now, floor 90 and above was the level of Superior Nobles,
Drama.
so if Demon Nobles were at minimum the S rank, then Superior Nobles would be well above that.
Man, it's actually crazy how much he's gotten stronger out of this. Like, again, in the anime, we kind of just, briefly beat them all, Like, there was a montage scene, and I think it's better that way. Imagine spending each episode for each floor for a specific clan. that shit would get boring. To be able to expedite it by having a montage, I think is better for the anime. But knowing how much farming there actually was, his powers, his new powers in the anime. Yo, we gotta see that fight between Goto Ryuji and Sung Jin-woo. They were teasing the shit out of it last episode, but like didn't really then just cucked us by having 4 other dudes fight. But like, I wanna see what is the new height of the power he's reached.
Estel was a bit worried Sung might fail, since if he did end up losing, the wrath of the upper clans would come barreling down on hers. It's for that reason she wanted to try negotiations first. She was trying to plan ahead just in case.
Who cares? Just let Jinwoo kill them all.
The 90s did in fact prove to be a challenge, since where before his mana levels barely took a hit, now they fluctuated greatly. It meant his soldiers were getting destroyed and regenerated a lot now. Sung himself looked to be putting in work as well, since a hazy gas could be seen emitting from him. It was his sweat immediately evaporating from the heat, a telltale sign that each battle was life or death now. By the 97th floor, Estel didn't have energy to even be shocked anymore, so instead she would ask if every human was as strong as he was.
Nope.
It was a question to which Sung would answer only 1 or 2, those being the chairman and Cha.
Wow, that's how highly he, like, I guess, like, grades them? Okay, I mean, we clearly know that there's other dudes, right? But this is, like, the people that Jinwoo knows, right? So, okay, alright. Cha over Guildmaster Che and Beck? Hayden's not even, you know, Guildmaster. She's like Vice. I mean, just because you're Vice doesn't mean you're weaker by any means, but interesting how both the guild masters are ignored, and Hayden got put up there with Koganhi.
The others didn't seem very strong at all anymore,
okay.
Especially Choi, since Cha was quite a few tiers above him.
What? What? Oh, this guy's getting power creep. This guy's losing aura by the second. He's the ultimate weapon. The dancer is better than the ultimate weapon?
So, if he was to judge based on their auras alone, there was a massive difference in strength amongst the S ranks.
Interesting.
The reason I say massive is because, by Sung's observations, the difference between them was probably greater than the difference between the lower ranks.
Wow.
Like, say there did exist some form of...
Yeah, that's the thing about S rank, right? It's just the final category as we know it. So there is so much different fluctuations in different types of people, right? Hayden could be SS, SSS rank. Like these could be bigger gap than different, you know, rank tiers that exist. So S rank, that's the interesting about S rank. Because we're all just pulled into the same category. Yet there can be so much different levels within that category that's not directly defined.
Double S rank, the difference between that and the regular S rank could be more than the gap between an A rank and the E rank.
That's crazy.
It was hard to say for sure since S rank mana levels couldn't be measured like that. When it came to his comparison with Chairman Go, they were on the same level the last time Sung saw him, but now that he was level 90, Sung was sure things were different. He was genuinely excited to go back home and compare, thrilled by the thought he might be able to consider them even weaker now.
Everyone wants to compare, right? Everyone wants to flex, but that's hilarious that he's like, oh man, I wonder how much more of a fodder they look like now if I come home.
Now, the real reason Sung didn't need Essel anymore was because his perception stat had gotten to the level where he could find the permit without her.
Be gone.
With the aura of the superior nobles being so strong, Sung could easily sense exactly where they were located. It made it so a guide was no longer necessary. Plus, he didn't really want to walk around with extra baggage.
This girl, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. She's just getting dragged into this and bro just thinks the lowest of her.
Essel would then question her own usefulness, leading Sung to walk up to her and tell her she worked hard. Her reaction was another emotion Sung never expected from a monster. But
she blushing?
It was with each and every new one he got to see that it validated more and more the story she told before.
Okay.
He still wasn't sure whether this whole instance dungeon was a figment of the system's imagination, but for all the terror, anxiety, shock, and wistfulness Essel showed, it made it easier to believe she truly was a resident from another world. That being the case, Sung was starting to believe he was getting closer to the true identity of the system.
Are we really,
It
though?
was once he would arrive at floor 100 that he would proceed to do a quick warm-up activating his muscles, then venture forward towards the boss.
The Baran
It was
fight.
when he finally found him that it wasn't the boss that garnered his interest, but
dragon?
rather the wyvern he was flying.
Kaiso.
Since this wasn't a demon like all the others, it made Sung think he might be able to extract it.
Yeah, that's where we're able to do it, right? Everyone else, there's restrictions, but the dragon, the wyvern is different. So that's better that way. Now we got a mount. We got a cool-ass flying mount.
Now he was just as excited as he was back when he had the chance to extract Baraka.
We should have took the horse, though. we should not have killed Baraka's, horse.
The fight then proceeded extremely faithful to the manhwa, minus a slight change where Tusk would be the one to bring the wyvern down.
Okay.
Baran's army would be estimated in the thousands, so Sung was essentially up against the equivalent of 1,000 A ranks. Then the opening skewering was a move Sung had intentionally waited for, creating a scene straight out of Vlad's playbook.
Oh.
The novel presents the fight as something significantly easier for Sung since there wasn't much of the struggle we saw in the anime.
Interesting. They made him stronger in the anime. I think that's better that way. Having a little bit of difficulty definitely is more interesting than him just rolling through all the fights. If you think about season 2 so far, the only fight that we quote-unquote rolled, you can't even say rolled, but like the Tusk fight was pretty easy. It was. Compared to the Baraka fight, I think that the way that Jinmu took on Tusk was very disrespectful and kind of easy. So Baran, Baraka, pretty difficult. Tusk, that was like a flex. And now we're going into the Jeju Island raid arc. The power scaling so far, I think, is still well delicately maintained. I'm just a bit worried. Like, again, with shows like this, at a certain point, the luster of the hype falls off, right? You can't keep maintaining this level of hype because as people get stronger and stronger, you're no longer the underdog. Back in season 1, and quite a bit until the most recent S rank assessment and stuff, we were the underdog. That is not the case anymore. And as it continuously progressively gets bigger and bigger, and as we get to get more powerful enemies and powerful rivals, how will they delicately balance it such that the show doesn't feel boring? That's definitely one thing that these kind of shows really struggles to do. I think Eminence and Shadow and One Punch Man is like the best way to do it, though. Like having side supporting characters be the focus, with the main absolute character show up at the very end to clutch, such that it doesn't feel like bullshit. You felt the threat, you felt the difficulty through the other characters that's well established. And then to have the main dude show up and flex, I think that's a very good repeatable formula to maintain the hype.
His immunity to lightning meant he could run around without issues, then their initial clash here had actually been what knocked Baran out of the sky. The two would then immediately engage. Sung would have to abandon his robe because it caught on fire, then after that he would proceed with a Sid-like battle, dodging everything perfectly.
Sid mentioned.
It was necessary to do so considering any attack could prove to be fatal now. So, Sung would dodge with the smallest of margins, all while gaining ground in the process. It was once he was right in front of Baran that he would reminisce of the battles he had before, thanking them for providing the power to fight evenly against such an absurdly strong monster.
Showing respect.
It was no exaggeration to say each floor molded and refined him for this exact moment. Sung would then land a critical hit on Baran's shoulder, leading to a fair spout of blade-to-blade combat. At first it seemed relatively even, up until Sung would use Ruler's Touch to stagger Baran. This would bring him to his knees, then create an opening allowing Sung to land the decisive punch.
Okay, so in the source material, Essel didn't clutch for us. In the anime, I think it was nice to have Essel not just stand there, but provide some sort of like distraction so we could capitalize on it.
Sung would then follow it up with a weirdly placed punch straight into Baran's mouth, effectively preventing him from attacking with his magic. He would then treat his head like a glove, batter it around until it was gone, then thank Baran too for everything he was about to provide for him. So, while the fight was still fairly intense, in the novel it didn't seem like Sung ever had a chance of losing. It was nowhere near as close as the manhwa or anime.
Better this way,
Now,
in my opinion.
If you're wondering how Ruler's Touch could even be used here, it's because that's one of Sung's skills that don't use mana. Just like how Shadow Preservation allows him to summon shadows without mana as well,
That's so
Ruler's
broken.
Touch can be used with zero cost whatsoever.
That's actually so
But
busted.
yeah, that was the tower dungeon and Sung's fight against the Demon King. This was, however, only half the cut content, so if you want to see the crazy stuff regarding Jeju next, then be sure to subscribe since that video will be out soon.
And that video is already out, and we'll be watching it pretty soon too. Anyways, that's pretty much it. The second part of episode 8, just getting a little bit more details about Demon Castle floors. Seems like there's a lot of different things that happen on each floor with the different strong clans that we obviously glossed over, and I think it's better that we do that. Like, we don't want to spend every episode, going that much in depth. I think that the pacing this way is better. Interesting to know that the Baran fight was not that difficult in the source material or the novel, right, versus the manhwa and the anime, but I think it's way better to make it struggle, right? Because if it's not a struggle, if we're just completely rolling without any sort of just difficulty, shit gets boring really fast. Please go check out AniNews' video. Here's the link. Go give the video a like, sub to the channel if you haven't, and I will see you next time.